Hi, everybody. Today I'd like to talk to you about Nirmanakaya. I dare say there's many of you who've never heard that word before, but I'll explain it. It's not very difficult to understand. Nirmanakaya is a Sanskrit word, I believe, and I got some stuff from the Great White Brotherhood, so the best thing I can do is just read what I got, because they're better at explaining things than I am. So it's not very long, so it won't take up much of your time. Now, let's begin. Nirmanakaya is actually a plural term, as there is one for each country. The word Nirmanakaya is often connected to Buddhism, but in fact, Nirmanakaya have nothing to do with any religion. When the archangels, sometimes referred to as the directors of life, created all that exists, it was decided to create a being for each and every country in the world in an attempt to help organize the development of each country. It must be obvious that no two countries develop in an identical manner, which is something that would have happened if there had been just one overriding force controlling the whole world. But due to the fact that some countries are huge, America, China, Russia, etc., and some are small, and due to the fact that climate in many countries differs widely and so on, it was considered necessary to create a spiritual entity that would control, at least to a certain extent, the development and progress of each country. Thus, Nirmanakaya were invented. Okay? Now, I don't know if you've understood that, but there's a spiritual force that we call Nirmanakaya that's in charge of the development of each and every separate country. I live in France, so France would have a Nirmanakaya. Many of you live in America or Britain or Australia or wherever, and each one of these countries has a Nirmanakaya that controls that country, the development of that country. Nirmanakaya are non-physical, that is to say that they are a spiritual force. They have little or no connection to most spiritual forces. They act quite independently from any other of God's spiritual creations. We should also say that they take little notice of the spiritual development of the populations who inhabit any country. Excuse me. They take a much broader vision of the development of the country that they have control of. Their aims and objectives are to ensure that the country as a whole survives and develops in a way that they have decided that it should. Each country deciding how that particular country, each Nirmanakaya deciding how that particular country should develop. Okay? This is a mental state. Quite what they mean by mental, as opposed to physical, I suppose. This is we might call it spiritual, but this is a mental state, they said, that is somewhat difficult to understand because we feel it natural that we should protect humans, animals and plants, and we use a lot of spiritual energy to try to harvest God's positive force, I'm getting lost here. We use a lot of spiritual energy to try to harvest God's positive force to protect all life, at least most of us do, and we consider it normal to protect all life. But Nirmanakaya have a more pragmatic attitude. They have decided how a country should advance, and if it means that groups of people, animals or plants must die out to ensure the implementation of their plans, so be it. This may seem heartless and even evil to us, but it is not. It is just a broader, more detached fashion of organizing life. It is worth remembering that Nirmanakaya do not concern themselves with individuals or even groups of individuals in any country. It is the country that occupies their thoughts, not the individuals that live in any country. Nirmanakaya are, of course, immortal and have existed for many millions of years and will do so endlessly into the future. However, there is an aspect of Nirmanakaya that is interesting. They can, if they choose, take a person under their wing and supply that person with all the skill and knowledge necessary for that person to be as perfect in his field as possible. This is very rare, but it does happen. We have cited people like Mozart, Da Vinci, Jesus, and Buddha as examples of people who were selected by Nirmanakaya and given the necessary knowledge to create great works. Quite why they do this, we cannot say, but we do know that certain people are selected from time to time and educated in ways far in excess of the average person. It is thanks to Nirmanakaya that we can be sure that a nuclear war will never be allowed to happen, because the Nirmanakaya, their prime function is to cause any country to develop. And if there was nuclear holocaust, countries would be wiped out. And that would be contrary to the aims and objectives of Nirmanakaya. So they won't ever let it happen. So all these people who are anxiously looking forward to World War III and total holocaust, they're wasting their time. It's never going to happen. Thank goodness. There is one more thing that we can say about Nirmanakaya. Although they all act independently of each other, they are all aware of each other and could, if they chose, work in harmony together. Generally, they don't, but they could if they so chose. And that's the end of it. I said it was quite short. I don't know if you managed to understand it. What the Great White Brotherhood are saying is that in the spiritual realms somewhere, for each country, there is an entity, a being of some sort, that we call a Nirmanakaya. Obviously, as I think I mentioned earlier, it's a Sanskrit word. Quite what it means translated into English, I couldn't tell you. But people generally just call it a Nirmanakaya and accept that. And each one of these countries has a Nirmanakaya that controls the development of each and every separate country. Okay? As usual, thank you very much for listening to me. Any questions, please ask and I'll do my best to answer. Okay? And with a bit of luck, I'll be back in the not too distant future with another little talk about something or other. Okay? Bye.